Welcome to the Spartan Newsroom. I'm Michael Epps, here with Dan Dickerson, the Tigers play-by-play announcer. Dan, you just came back from Chicago. How was that?
It was great. It was kind of like reliving old times at Tiger Stadium. My first game, I was sitting behind a post, so that made me feel right at home, like the old Tiger Stadium. What an atmosphere, though. It was so fun to be in Wrigley, and I've been lucky the last two postseasons. I've had a chance to be a fan for just a couple of, World Series games, and this year playoff games in the NLCS. It's a lot of fun. It's fun to just sit and watch a game with a buddy and have a beer and just cheer like a fan.
All right. Is it a little bit different than in the booth?
Yeah.
It's an adjustment.
It is. You can let your fan out a little bit. I'm a little more reserved now than I used to be before I got the job, but I just love interacting with the fans and I love that ballpark. I mean, that's a terrific place to watch a game. Even if you're behind a post, you can lean left or right. But the fans were just so good. The Cubs were outmatched by the Dodgers, and the fans kind of knew it, I think. But the fans were great, and I had a good time.
Yeah, different atmosphere compared to last year. I mean, that was a special run for them last year.
Yeah, it was, and it was amazing how different it was. You felt like they were not on the same level with the Dodgers. The Dodgers completely had them outmatched in every way, and you really felt it. I went to Game 3 of the NLCS. You really felt it after that game. They were just outclassed in so many different ways. Even when they won Game 4, I think the Cubs fans knew they weren't going anywhere.
Yeah, and we want to talk about the World Series, but we're going to start with the Tigers. The Tigers hiring a new manager, Gardenhire. I just want to get your thoughts on the new hire.
I love the hire. I got to know Ron pretty well in his years with the Twins. There for a long time, and he's just one of those guys. That personality it's a big personality. And you hear, kind of an old school guy. Okay, what does that mean? To me, that means he's got a certain way he wants you to play the game, and he's going to demand that, and he's going to demand, if not perfection, this is how we're going to do it. And if we don't do it right, we're going to go work on it. Not punishment, but we're going to go work on it till we get it right. We're not going to let anything slide. And we're going to emphasize certain things like being aggressive on the bases, play good defense. I mean, little things that do win games, maybe if you're short-staffed, which the Tigers might be next year, let's face it. But he's got one of those personalities that, I mean, he's going to demand a lot, he's going to get mad, and then he'll make you laugh. I mean, he's the best storyteller I've ever heard. He'll make you laugh and crack up, and it's that great personality and combination of things that I think gets the most out of players. And I can't wait to see him at work. Like he said, I'm not coming here to get my butt kicked. I'm coming here to win baseball games. And guess what? The Tigers just might surprise some people next year.
Right, that's a great insight, and it feels like the complete opposite of 4 years ago when the Tigers hired a rookie manager to take a veteran ball club, and now you got a 10-plus year manager with the Twins now taking on a young team. So how do you see those young players, learning from him and growing?
Yeah, it's just, he's done it all in terms of he's had that young team that he grew into a winner in 2002, 3, and 4 division champions. And then they kind of had a rebuild with a low payroll at all times, a more veteran team, but then he had to rebuild again, won 3 more division championships in the next 6 years. So this is a guy who knows all different aspects, but he's never had a big payroll. Now the Tiger payroll is going to be cut, but at some point he's going to have resources more than he ever did in Minnesota. I think it's a great fit for both of those things because he's experienced it all. There will be nothing that will faze him, nothing that will be a surprise to him once he learns these personalities. I just think he knows how to get the most out of every player, and it's going to be fun to watch because it will be a mix of veterans, Kinsler if he's still here, Cabrera, Martinez, Zimmerman, and then a lot of young players.
All right, and the Tigers weren't very patient with Brad Ausmus because it was a win-now mentality.
It was.
But you feel like Gardenhire is going to get some time here in Detroit. He's going to get a chance.
Yeah, I don't think it's coincidental that he's got a 3-year deal and Al Avila has 3 more years left on his deal. And I think that at some point you'll see that contract get extended because I think you always want to have a certain limit, but I think they're going to watch and see what he does with this team, especially incorporating the young talent in the years ahead. And it'd be a big surprise to me if it was only 3 years for Ron Gardenhire in Detroit. This has, extension written all over it as he shows what he can do down the line.
Right, and that's a great point. And so the Tigers are a little bit farther away from the Fall Classic, but we do want to talk about the World Series. The Astros and Dodgers, unbelievable postseason so far. I just want to get your thoughts on these two teams. What stuck out to you so far?
Man, highly entertaining. I mean, the Dodgers in a different way because they've been a little more dominant, and the Astros Yankees series to me was just a thing of beauty. The defense we saw in that series, especially in Game 7. I mean, the Bregman play at the plate with McCann. I mean, I've never seen a better play. Justice early in the game in that great play over the wall in right field. So highly entertaining. And that's the thing about these two teams. Great athleticism on both sides. Guys who can play defense. Guys who can run the bases. Guys like Justin Turner, who a late bloomer at 29 I mean, what more can this guy do? You got stars on both sides, you've got great stories on both sides, and to me, I just hope it goes 7 because I want to see these two teams play each other 7 times.
Right, Turner has had an unbelievable season. The massive walk-off home run had flashbacks to Kirk Gibson many years ago. But with the Astros, Justin Verlander has been the dream acquisition. I mean, that's textbook deadline move. He's come in and made such a massive impact. And just talk about how big it was for the Astros to give up some big prospects for him.
Right, and it was funny. Think about what happened between July 31st and August 31st. They were not offering anything at the end of July because they didn't feel like, I guess, that they were getting an ace pitcher, even though at that point he was pitching like an ace. And then they realized, especially after hearing from some of their own players when they didn't do a whole lot in July, they needed one more piece. And clearly, who was the best of all the pitchers out there? Who was the best postseason guy? It's Justin Verlander. Track record matched up against anybody. He's the best in the postseason, and the way he was pitching. So it was kind of a perfect storm. And the Tigers, to their credit, if you look at some of the articles that are being written nationally, the Tigers, to their credit, held out for those top 3 prospects because a couple of weeks before, even a week before, many were speculating the best they could do is one decent project and a couple of marginal. Well, they got 3 top prospects. But Houston knew what they were doing. They knew what they were getting. I think they knew in July, but they were just trying to lowball the Tigers. I love watching Justin Verlander. I mean, 124 pitches in that game, with the 2-1 game. Phenomenal. It's so much fun to watch a guy rise to an occasion, a great player rising to the occasion, and there's nobody better at him.
Right, and unlike Yu Darvish and Sonny Gray, some of the other names on the market at that time, Verlander brings postseason experience. He brings World Series experience.
He's a difference maker.
Right, and he hasn't been able to get over that hump in 2 tries with the Tigers. But do you feel like if he does get there and he does make this happen with the Astros, do you think that he will see himself in the Hall of Fame one day?
Oh, I think he's headed on that track. He's determined to get there. He really is. I mean, he's made no bones about it. Why should he? I mean, why not have that be your goal? And he's pitching like that right now. It absolutely cements his candidacy when it comes 5, 6, 7, 8 years from now. Who knows? It might be 10 years before he's eligible for the Hall of Fame if he keeps pitching like this.
Right. He has an unbelievable season and career with the Tigers. It was tough to see him go. And the Dodgers, Kershaw, on the other hand, he's been one of the best pitchers in the league the last 5 years. But in the postseason, he hasn't quite reached that level that he has in the regular season. And he received some heat. Obviously, injuries have played a part of that. But he's started to elevate his game in these last 2 rounds. And do you see him continuing to elevate his game and get over that hump, lift that weight off his shoulders of finally being a postseason pitcher?
Yeah, I mean, he's had some good starts. Like you said, he hasn't been that dominant, consistent, deep into game postseason starter like a Justin Verlander. It's interesting to see Dave Roberts. He was asked that question today because the intriguing matchup to me is the Dodgers like their starters to go 5 and then they turn to a lights-out bullpen. The Astros don't mind their starters going 6 and 7 if they can do it, or 9, and because their bullpen isn't quite as deep. Dave Roberts said today, I'll let Kershaw go more than 5 or 6 if the circumstances warrant, and he's absolutely a 7-inning guy, but he hasn't done it in the postseason. So I would love to see him go because I just think the trend now is turning to bullpens. They've got a dominant bullpen, but let's see Clayton Kershaw's greatness for 7 or 8 innings if he's pitching well.
Right, and we will see that on the mound with Kershaw, a Hall of Famer, and also with Keuchel on the other hand on the mound, another Cy Young winner for the Astros. So who do you have in Game 1?
In Game 1, probably the Dodgers, just the way they're playing. Keuchel's been very good in 4 of his 5 postseason starts, 6 or 7 innings, 1 run or none. He's been very good until that last time out against the Yankees. I've got to give the edge to the Dodgers because of the way they play at home, the way they're playing right now. And in the series, probably I give the edge to the Dodgers. I pull for the Astros just because, I don't know, I like watching. I'd like to see Justin Verlander, honestly, get a World Series championship. Very, very evenly matched. And I would think that I picked Dodgers in Game 1, if you ask me. And in the series, I hope it goes 7, but I would, if you force me to, I'd pick the Dodgers.
All right. Well, he's seen both teams, so his prediction, you got to give it some weight. So thanks a lot, Dan, for joining us.
Good to be here.
Michael Epps from the Spartan Newsroom. Thanks for watching.